Welcome to the Swedish Gaming Dudes. My name is Johan.
And my name is John.
And today we're going to talk about game music. We're going to list our top 5 game soundtracks or game themes and talk about what they meant to us and through our gaming journey and such. And for you who are listening, you can find the tracks in the description below if you want to listen to our lists. But before we start, John, are you playing something good right now? Some good video game?
Oh yes, I am actually. So for I believe a couple of months, I have been trying to really get into Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PS5. However, as I forced myself to go into, I started playing the game, and I went a couple of weeks, and I still didn't really feel the mental connection, invested it into the game. But as I kept on playing it, it just felt forced. So now I have, not been playing it for a while just because I feel like, maybe I should get back to it later on because I want to play something else. And I actually, parallel to this, started playing Mega Man 4, which I believe is super fun now, which I didn't think, back at the time when I bought it. And also, just like 1 or 2 weeks back, I started in parallel to start to play Hogwarts Legacy on the PC.
Nice. Yeah, and that's a dream come true to every Harry Potter fan, I've heard.
Yeah, truly. Like, I really wanted to, get myself to experience how Hogwarts would have been in real life, and this is as close as it gets.
Yeah, sure. No, it looks amazing. I chose from that during like Christmas vacation if I'm going to buy Hogwarts Legacy or Baldur's Gate 3, but I bought Baldur's Gate instead.
Oh yeah.
But I sort of regret it now. I like Baldur's Gate, but I think I would enjoy Hogwarts more actually, and that sort of fantasy world. Yeah, me myself, I've gone through the dark in a way. I've been totally immersed in the Alan Wake universe. They released in the autumn the second chapter, finally a new Alan Wake game, a horror game, and I just got blown away by it. The style of it and how it's made, this meta perspective and graphics, and it's like this love letter if you like Stephen King books and you like the show Twin Peaks. It's like this mix of it. And speaking of game music, it has this incredible 80s rock game soundtrack that's incredible, and it's like the music has a very big part of the storytelling in that game, that in a very, I won't spoil it here, but it's very cool the way they use music in that game.
Oh yeah. And isn't it like that rock group from Finland, Poets of the Fall, they have like a connection to the game Control on the PS4 and Xbox One, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. And they're like a fictional band in Alan Wake called Old Gods of Asgard, and they play like this 80s rock. It's so cool, like this 80s rock ballads, or very emotional, almost like power metal stuff. And like it's very, very good music. So it's such a cool way to use music in that medium, not just great themes, but just like incorporate in the gameplay and stuff. It's incredible. I won't spoil it, but yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, go check it out.
Go check it out. No, so it was a good year, I think, for horror games last year. So yeah, Alan Wake has been my forte the last couple of months. I think.
That is so amazing.
So
first question to you, Johan.
Yeah.
What would you say is your video game top 1 music score or soundtrack?
Yeah, we have like five games that we have picked. You have 5 games and I have 5 games.
True.
So we're going to talk about, starting from the bottom, what our pick is for the still the greatest, but like number 5, for example, and then go upwards towards.
Oh, I like that idea better. So
yeah. Okay.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. So, but if you are listening, you can find these listed in the descriptions because of copyright reasons, of course. But you can find our lists if you want to check out the themes we're going to talk about here. So yeah, number 5 for me is Metroid, one of the great game franchises I grew up with. The first one on the NES, it was sort of hard, you didn't have a map or anything to find your way as this bounty hunter, Samus Aran. But then I got the Super Nintendo and this incredible soundtrack for Super Metroid, like very atmospheric, very good like a theme.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very like sort of alien style. The music is incredible.
Oh yeah.
And I have chosen for number 5 is Ridley's lair, when you're in these depths and you're fighting this almost last boss Ridley. In this sort of like hellish march or something, like these choirs, and like it's so dark and
It's a bit eerie.
It's eerie, yeah. It's very dark, and it really sets the atmosphere because you're like this deep under the surface of the planet with lava and fire and stuff like that. So my pick for number 5 is Metroid Ridley's Lair. It's an incredible score, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah. And how about you? What's your number 5?
Yeah, so my number 5, I'd say it's really a game that is brutal as hell, and me being a metalhead, this game is called Doom Eternal.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it was released in 2018, right? And there are a lot of metal songs, custom created for the game itself.
Yeah.
And there is this song called Prayer of the Diminished. And it's more some kind of, ambient, eerie kind of thing with the vocals on top of that, which feels like it's more of a demonic take of, throat singing.
Ah, okay, cool.
It's hard for me to imitate, but then again, check out the score of that, because it takes place at one level in the game when it's like not a lot of going on. So you're just, walking in a corridor alone, and you just have this voice or voices chanting these, made up words. And it's just something that makes everything so much more immersive and hellish, and you just feel like you're left for dead and on your own.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. It's so important to, setting the atmosphere in a situation in a game for the immersive feeling. Yeah, it's so important. So super cool.
Truly.
Okay, so my number 4, I put one of my favorite actually game series as well. Castlevania has incredible music. I was blessed, almost like 10 years ago, something like that. My brother and me, we went to a concert in Stockholm where they performed like the music with a full orchestra, like for the first time ever. They orchestrated the score, and they also have the original composer performing the music live, and it was such a good experience. It's such a great music in the Castlevania series. So it was hard to choose one that I really liked, but my favorite, I think, is still Bloody Tears. This,
oh yes,
I think the first time you hear it is in the second Castlevania in Simon's Quest, when you start in the city music, but then you walk out from the city into the woods and start facing skeletons and werewolves and stuff like that. And then you have this Bloody Tears soundtrack in the background, and it's like brilliant.
Amazing, totally amazing.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's hard to choose because Castlevania has like so many classic tunes, really. But Bloody Tears is incredible, I think. So that's my number 4. Yeah.
And that is so amazing. So let's see here. My number 4 on this list. And this is for me. I gotta think, what is my actual number 4? I'm thinking about, I got my songs, but which order?
Yeah, it's not so easy.
Yeah. So my number 4, I would say, is from the first reboot of the series of Wolfenstein. I believe the year was 2014. I believe this game was released on the PC, the PS4, and the Xbox One. And the song is actually a collaboration between, I don't really know, the team of who makes the music for the game, but also one of the guitarists from the band Meshuggah. The song is called Herr Faust. And it takes place at this point in the game where you've been captured and you're being placed in this camp for people who are, put to being slaves.
Okay.
For, a certain amount of time. And so you manage to escape. And during your last phase of your escape, you get into this mech machine thing, and you sit in this one, and you're kind of higher up, like you're in some sort of a vehicle and you got these firing guns and you just go guns blazing to this metal tune. It's kind of a slow one, and it really cracks a punch, but it feels like every drum beat, it is like, a bone-crushing hit to the face. And I just love that. It felt like, okay, I'm a god at this point.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. No, but it's, as I say, it's so important what sort of soundtrack you have during those epic moments in action games or whatever. It just sets the tone, and it like empowers you as a player. The feeling, as you say, like this big mech suit.
Oh yeah,
just, like,
truly
crushing everything in your way, basically.
Truly, music. It is so, especially at this point, where games have become so different and more, technically advanced in the matter of, the amount of bits and the depth of, video files and music files and everything that you can put into the music itself.
Yeah.
And everything is so much more different compared to 8-bits these days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've come a long way since the 8-bit era like that. It's, I love, as I said, with this Castlevania and stuff, it's so cool to hear it with a complete orchestra or like in some sort of metal cover, that. It's such a cool, the music is so good, so it suits itself to different styles,
Yeah, truly.
Super cool. I put on number 3, my actually favorite game series ever, Metal Gear Solid. Had a huge impact on me when the first game arrived on PlayStation 1. I think it was in 98, I think the first one came out. Just the style, it was made this like filmic style, and also this sneaking around, instead of, it has a lot of action as well, but it's more focused on stealth, and just sneaking, and it's such a cool way, and just continuing the story actually from the old Metal Gear games with Solid Snake and these conspiracies and stuff like that. Such a good idea from Hideo Kojima, this gaming legend.
Oh yes, truly.
And like the soundtrack is so cool. They have this classic Metal Gear Solid theme that's very epic and very like suits the genre. But I've chosen this this song called "The Best Is Yet to Come." Like it's only in the first game and a little bit in the fourth game, but it's like this more like a Celtic style of theme. It's very like emotional, and like it's like almost clashes with this like military action game, but when you have to have it more like emotional, you hear this music in the background when the characters are maybe talking about their past or something like that, and this just emotional score comes through in the background, and it's so beautiful. It's so simple and so beautiful. So choosing from all the great music from Metal Gear Solid, I chose that song because it's so it fits perfectly to the first game and like the first impressions you get from that series. It's incredible score really, but so many different songs as well from that franchise to choose from.
Oh yeah, that entire game feels like it's a masterpiece, not only in its game front but also on the music.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
It's super cool. Cool. Yeah.
So let's see here. My third on the list has to be on the NES. There's this game which is called in America Contra, and here in Europe it's called Pro Protector.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I believe there is this second level of the game where you go in this corridor until you meet this boss, and it's this during this boss section, which it definitely is a song that can make a perfect cover. I've heard several times by exploring things on YouTube, and it's just so amazing because it's up tempo. And it's also in a way, for me, weirdly speaking, it feels like it's it also brings tears to my eyes because it's so amazing in an emotional way.
Yeah, cool.
I just love that.
Yeah. Sure. No, but I played a lot of the Super Nintendo version, the Super Pro Protector. It's Contra. Alien Wars, yeah. No, but that was my first actually Contra experience. But I love that. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't play. I got it later for Nintendo, like a NES. But no, it was such a cool action game, and like the soundtrack on Super Nintendo is also very good. It feels like an Alien movie, also like Aliens, the second.
Definitely.
Alien. Same style with the music, and it also sets the tone for this like alien invasion, and at the same time, as you say, upbeat with the action, so you get this tempo, you know, perfectly. Yeah. Okay, for my second place, I have Legend of Zelda. Zelda also is like this, one of my favorite franchises coming into.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Oh my god, it changed my life. I think when I played. I never had it first on the NES. I had it on the Super Nintendo. A Link to the Past. That was the first one I bought actually. But I loved it. Completed it so many times. And also, of course, later with Ocarina of Time, this like huge, like different take on this 3D world, you know, with the Zelda franchise. At the same time, capturing the spirit of the old games, and you get so immersed into that sort of world. You know?
Man!
Ocarina of Time was the first game that I think you really got transported in another world. But the theme I've chosen is the one that you hear. Like when you play the first Zelda game, just walking around the overworld, this classic, Link's theme, so it's like, it's this very classic Zelda, and it's so good to hear it in the new versions, in the newer games. You know, it's still this epic adventure feeling when you hear this theme walking around the overworld map. You know, it's so classic. So I had to choose that from every theme.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's my second one.
Yeah. All right. So for my second one, so now I don't have as many choices here, but I'm thinking actually on the Zelda universe as well.
Yeah.
So the favorite in that series, according to me, is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64 as well. And there is this section in the game where I remember you go to the desert. And you're there as the adult, and I remember as you go into that area, Gerudo Valley theme is starting to play, it's just this. It feels like it's, I love the fact that it's not metal, and it's almost, folk or something, more, desert, like I'm saying in my own head.
Yeah.
And I just love how it feels like it's something that just makes me feel like, I'm just gonna not play for like 10 minutes and just listen to the song loop a couple of times because it's amazing.
Yeah.
So go check out Gerudo Valley. It's just amazing how it sounds.
It has such a great feel to it, as you say, with rhythm and everything, and you're playing a game with incredible music when you just, as you say, stand still with your character and just listen. Like, oh my god, this is so incredible!
It is, yeah.
And it captures, like, as you say, the spirit of this desert town and these thieves and stuff like that. And it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Okay. For my number one, I have number one. Also one of my favorite series, especially in the music front. Final Fantasy has incredible music by Nobuo Uematsu.
Yes.
Also listened to him live actually in Stockholm once with complete orchestra. That was insane. But
not jealous in the slightest.
No, I get you. Also, so many great themes to choose from with Final Fantasy, but I've chosen Terra's theme from Final Fantasy VI. It's the main, 6 almost doesn't have a main character, but if you have to choose one, it's Terra, this girl who has these magical powers and stuff, and such an incredible theme performed just on flutes and stuff like that, very simple, but it's such a haunting melody that suits that character so well, her journey through this world and finding her place basically in it. And I think it still is the best I've heard ever in a game, but it's so many great to choose from, especially from number 6 and also number 7, of course, have lots of good music. But I chose Terra's theme from Final Fantasy VI as my first choice.
I gotta play that game. Every single time when you mention that to me, I'm going like, I should play that game.
Yes, you should.
But then I find myself months later, I haven't played it yet.
You should play this Pixel remaster.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because they have the music. You can have the original versions from the SNES, but they have also this orchestrated newer version. They sound the same, but you have real, instruments and stuff like that. So they sound incredible in this Pixel remaster. So
that is so great. So you can switch between the two?
You can switch.
Oh yes! I gotta play it now. Oh man.
So I think you will like it. Yeah.
So So my number one is actually my earliest childhood memory music-wise. Okay, Super Mario Bros. I've played, but it was never my favorite in terms of music nor the game.
Yeah.
But actually, since childhood, we had this NES and Mega Man 2 we had, and there was this song I remembered. So it took years for me practicing to kill all the first 8 levels with their respective bosses.
Yeah.
And then you have this cutscene where the last boss shows up in his airship, and he flies into his lair.
Yeah.
And then there's a frame skip, and you start the Wily level, and the music kicks in.
Yeah.
And these are another one of those moments where it's like, okay, I just gotta pause the game because it doesn't pause the music.
Yeah.
And it just loops.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing melody. Immersive, it empowers you, it makes everything better. And it's like, well, this music could help you no matter if you would be stressed out, I guess. If you would be at the gym working out.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever it is. But it truly helps when you play this game.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing. And actually, in the same game, this other music track in this game was never really my favorite, but it has, since a few months back, become one of my favorites due to the fact that I found this band, Lame Genie they're called, and they have this Quick Man level cover.
Nice.
It's a metal cover of that song, and it's just so amazing.
Oh my god.
In a little bit of a different way, but it's still a high tempo song. It's so amazing, and it just strikes me like video game music has not just come a long way, but it was so great back then in a lot of games.
Oh yeah. No, I totally get it. And as I said, Mega Man 2 is one of my great favorites as well. Absolutely incredible. And it's very good at the gym to play Mega Man 2 music. It's perfect with the rhythm and stuff like that.
Awesome.
It feels like, as you say, Dr. Wily and Quick Man, it feels like almost all these robot bosses has incredible music. Each one of them has like this memorable theme, you know.
Definitely.
Especially in the second game. I think the third one also has great music, but the second one is insane.
Yeah.
The quality of it, like.
Yeah.
But you have to send that to me, that metal version. I want to hear that.
I'll definitely do that. Of course, I will do that for you. And speaking of Mega Man 2, I'm actually wondering which one would you say music-wise is your least favorite amongst the 8?
Oh my god, Mega Man games.
Mega Man 2 specifically.
So, those themes, you mean?
Yeah, do you remember the music?
Yeah. Oh, least favorite. Maybe. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's really
I could
hard.
present to you with my choice.
Because the music is so good.
Yeah, so I would say, like, you know, I do have a few ones that are, you know, the favorite, the ones that are okay, and the ones that, you know, not as good. And I have the least 3 favorites. I would say here is Flashman, Bubble Man, and Heat Man.
Yeah. Those, I think, are good choices for that. Yeah.
I just find it kind of interesting because all of those songs are amazing in their own right
in
ways. But they don't really strike me the same, and it's just something, you know, when you're there and it feels like, okay, I kind of get the pop music 80s vibes.
Yeah, no, it's, as you say, it's cool because they have like different styles according to the boss character, you know, that suits that robot's master, you know. It's very cool. No, but I can understand those choices actually, because you have, like, as we say, Quick Man, and you have Woodman, for example. Also incredible theme.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so many good to choose from. It's hard to pick least favorite from Mega Man 2. That's very hard because it's all so good, Yeah. I also like from the third game, Snake Man's theme from the third game is also very good.
That one is truly iconic.
Yeah.
And lately, I don't really remember much of this, but I remember, you know, I was working in retail once.
Yeah.
And there was this song coming up on this list, and it was a pop song with lyrics and all. And for some reason, there was a section of this song that just reminded me of, like, this is straight up the theme from Snake Man from Mega Man 3.
They ripped it off completely.
Yeah.
No, but I think, as you say, going back to like 8-bit style games, there's so many good memorable themes from this Mega Man, Castlevania, and stuff like that. And it was a different era. Like the music had to convey a lot of the feeling for the games as well. I mean, today you have like voice acting, and you have like this great surround mix, you know, with effects and stuff like that. Everything sounds more real. It's like this very immersive, almost cinematic experience. So sometimes the music like comes in the background in a way today, you know. So it's back in the day with the NES and SNES and stuff like that, music had more like a bigger role in the gaming experience like that. And we need more like those themes in newer games, I think, as well. Like,
I can definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And also I'm thinking, you know, on a little bit of a counterpart, I would say that it's kind of interesting how some game developers have chosen to create different kinds of, should I even call them songs? Because, you know, there are more like, you know, sound files that they put on the cartridges, for instance, on SNES games. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, the last music that is appearing in the game Snake, Rattle, and Roll on the NES, it's more like an empty, non-music kind of music thingy. And it's very empty, and it's, you know, it feels like, you know, sometimes I'm wondering if these game creators just feel like, okay, it's just so hard to compete with these successful music video game creators. So maybe let's just not do that and keep it on the empty side. So it's a little bit like, you know, you have a few notes, dun dun, and it's like, you know, completely silent for 15 seconds, and then another.
They don't even bother anymore. Like, yeah, as you say, we can't compete. So it's it's
more is less.
Yeah. Yeah, but that can be different also in games, as you say. The silence of something can also have a certain effect. If you're used to having music, and then it's just completely silent. And like, okay, what's wrong now? You know, like especially in the horror games, I think it can be really frightening if it's just quiet all of a sudden.
Oh yes,
setting the tone like that.
Yeah, and this actually brings me to one other song that I remember from one of the. A very early game which was actually pre-installed without a cartridge if you would purchase yourself the Sega Master System 2, as in the second rendition of the console. You got Alex Kidd in Wonder World, or Miracle World it's called, something like that. And I remember that it's like this side scroller, and in this game, if you would play it for a while until you get to a certain castle with one of the bosses in the game, you have this music score which is very like, I believe it's like a MIDI file, to speak technically, but it's very easygoing, but I just have this terrifying childhood memory that it just got me so trippy. And I remember my dad finished the game because I couldn't, and I had the score in my head. And so as I was walking in our apartment later on, like a Saturday night, I was thinking about this song, and I was looking out the window, and I was like, am I seeing a skeleton walking across the yard? No. Okay, I can't look out there. It was just so terrifying.
Yeah. No, but music can have that effect. Like, I remember the first time I played, like the first horror game I played was Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1.
Oh, man.
And that was like, I mean, today's graphic, they look like Minecraft characters almost. Like,
yeah,
with
get that.
Today's graphics, But back then, it really set the tone, get into this mansion in the middle of nowhere in the forest, and this like theme, like just with strings and stuff, starts playing in the background, like this haunting.
Oh, yes.
Like, it's so, oh my god, it just also, like, even if you don't have the graphics, you have the sound design that sets the tone for the horror, so that was a very effective way. And I had a hard time. I had to go up and watch a movie. I couldn't sleep the first day I played that one. I was like 12 years old, 13, something like that. I had to go watch a movie or something, like just to take my mind off the game, because I was so struck by this horror feeling. And I think horror games we talked about that with gaming before, but like it's completely different when it's interactive instead of just watching a horror movie. I think
definitely.
Yes, I think playing a horror game is way more frightening than a horror movie. It takes much for me after years of gaming. It takes a lot for me to get scared by a movie, for example, because I'm so used to this gaming feeling.
Yeah,
around
of course.
Horror.
Yeah.
But that's also a good example of music with Resident Evil 1, and setting the tone there, and also the first Silent Hill game that also had almost this metallic, rhythmic soundtrack. Not so many like this
Oh, yeah.
classic music, but like very like strange, otherworldly. It fits perfectly with that dark, rusty, bloody world, you know, of
Yeah.
Silent Hill. But also has a great soundtrack in that way.
Oh man, yeah. So you know, as you're saying, and I'm just thinking about that, like when you would play a certain game like Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1, it's just so interesting how it's sometimes you got these situations in the game where it's like you're so terrified to move, but you also know that if you don't move, things are most likely not going to happen unless it's scripted, like an enemy will appear in the same room that you're in, or you know, will dive into it. But I'm thinking like the music, if you would mute the music, then you have the power sometimes to just power through it, but sometimes it takes extra struggle because of the extra immersion that comes as you would hear not just the music but the creaking environments of these wooden planks and doors.
Yeah.
And definitely, you know, it gives you extra strength, or not, to have the music to immerse yourself in, you know, to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it can be very good, like driving force. I was thinking about Doom, as we talked about, like this great soundtrack, like this heavy metal, you know, you feel like this overpowered, godlike warrior almost, you know. But it's so perfect with the soundtrack to make you feel that empowerment as a character.
Yeah,
you know?
Truly.
And that's very cool with newer styles of games, you know, like that, as you say, with Doom. Such a great. But it started, I mean, speaking of like Doom, like heavy metal, if you go back to the first game, and even if it's like MIDI files, the music, it still has that rocking music in a way, you know, in the background. And I think it's cool when they continue a game series much later, but now can do it with different style, but keeping in the spirit of the original, you know, music also. It's super cool, I think.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah. Would you say that you would actually have a song that you're thinking about from video games that is something that you truly hate?
Yeah.
Which one would that be?
No, speaking about oh my god, it's so stupid. But speaking about Resident Evil, I love that game series. But they released the director's cut of the first game, which included, I think, some different costumes and some different like camera angles, you know, from these environments and stuff like that. And I think they remixed like enemies and stuff like that. But for some reason, they changed the soundtrack as well, and it's horrible. And like, and like one of the most frightening memories I have from the original version is when you're going down to the basement, because you have to start the power for an elevator, and it's very like dark and brooding music, and you hear the zombies and stuff like that. It's like very, very haunting, very intense music. But in this director's cut version, where you get down there, it's like this clown show music, you know. I mean, it sounds stupid. It sounds, I will link it below, but it sounds like clown music, like I
believe I've heard it. It's horrible.
I mean, it's horrible. It's like, am I supposed to be scared? I'm scared of the quality of the music, basically, more than scared of, you know, the game and the situation. I like, what are you thinking when you're composing this music, you know, for this I don't know. I think that's one of the worst soundtracks I've ever heard, like especially for that remixed version. And when you compare it to a brilliant original version, like why make it worse like that? So that's one of the worst songs I've heard in a game. I will link it in the description, but it's horrible.
Oh man.
Yeah. do you have one of those that's like, oh my god,
one song definitely comes to mind, and it's on the Nintendo 64, where you would have this character Yoshi, and he has his own game, Yoshi's Story. And in this game, I believe it's the first level where the music is called, or the level itself maybe, Treasure Hunt.
Treasure Hunt, okay.
Yeah, and this game is very, not really upbeat, but it's very extremely child-friendly, colorful, very playful, nothing is really serious. There's, you can die in the game, but, it's just super trippy. I mean, like, almost as if you would be doing drugs and experience that kind of reality. And it's just, it just does not go well with me. The stomach turns.
Nice. I'm looking forward to listening to that track, yeah.
Do you?
I think Nintendo must be tripping sometimes when they're making creative decisions.
To say the least. Like, to make good, you have to make bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, but it's interesting to follow also, I think, as we say, with modern games. And going back to old series, speaking of Zelda, for example, we have these new, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, like also different style. Feels like Zelda, but much more simplistic, with piano and stuff like that. And I think it's cool when you try a different take on the soundtrack and just, but still have this sort of original feel to it like that as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to now this year we're having the Final Fantasy VII remake continue with Rebirth, and looking forward to listening to the soundtrack on that one, because I remember the remake, the first part that came out a couple of years ago, had great remixes of Uematsu's original work, with orchestration and the boss music when you hear like this 8-bit style in Final Fantasy VII, like like that. But there you have like in this remake, you have like this metal, and it's the guitars and like.
Oh yeah, that's so amazing.
It's so good. It's so damn good. It's like this perfect remix. You can find the soundtrack complete score on Spotify. Such a good remixes of all these great Final Fantasy themes and stuff like that. So,
Oh, that is so amazing. Yeah. And could you agree with the opinion of mine, being that sometimes I feel like the modern era in video game music, sometimes when they bring vocals into a video game music setting, it feels like the vocal sometimes brings down the entire feeling.
Maybe it can be a bit overdone sometime. I mean, I think that comes down to taste in some way, But I think, speaking of this Final Fantasy VII remake, I know they put a lot of like choirs in the background. It's actually in that boss theme that I said right now, because it starts like the classic like that. But then further on, but because that's cool, because the fights are way longer in the remake, so it changes, like the song goes through different phases like that. And then there comes also choirs at the end like that. But I think it's maybe it can be overdone sometimes. Do you really need it, or is it good enough with this style you're going for? But I think, in that remake, I think it's only a good thing, because you're maybe at the end of the fight and you're feeling almost won. You can see the boss doesn't have much health, and you feel like this empowered warrior, and like that choir, like like that. So it can be very well done, but sometimes it can be maybe too much sometimes as well, but it depends completely on the game. And
I can agree with that.
Was this a certain example you thought about with this choir or song?
I think I did, but I lost it.
Okay. No, so I think it's different from game to game, I think, like that. And take for example Skyrim, classic Elder Scrolls.
Sure.
That's very famous for the choir as well, with this. And you also have this voice thing in the game. You have these shouts, dragon shouts, like that. So then the choir is almost like incorporated into the game in that way. So that fits perfectly, like that.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember that.
Yeah, and also one great soundtrack, notable mention, for example, God of War. The new God of War games has incredible music as well. And the old ones also had incredible scores, but these two new versions have like this incredible. But there's also choir, and they're like singing in this old Nordic language. It also fits perfectly with this Kratos character, like that.
Of course,
So, but I think it can be overdone sometimes to almost, this is not epic enough. We have to have more choir in the song or something like that, because so it depends. It depends, I would say. But I would highly recommend everybody to go and play this Alan Wake game, the second one, because it changed the way I look at video game music, actually, how you can incorporate into the gameplay and stuff like that in ways that I never thought of before. And also it's so cool, I think, when you have a collaboration with a real band, the developers, and you get this like fake band in that world as well, But it's such a good way to use music. So I think really good games understand like the power of music for the experience. You know, they really like make an effort to make it memorable and suits the scenes and stuff like that. If I ever have a favorite game, I also every time think about the music, you know, from that game as well. So
I do remember there was this one game, and it feels like it was the first of the kind.
Yeah.
The game was called Metal Hellsinger, I believe. And it was
rhythmic.
this first-person shooter. It felt like it was inspired by the reboot Doom games.
Yeah.
And it was so emphasized on music, being like, you know, there are these heavy metal tracks created for the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're supposed to kill everything on sight according to beat.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, well, you focus so much on the music, and, you know, due to input lag, it feels like, well, it's kind of hard for you to focus on the music and sync it with every single time you push the fire button.
Yeah. Because I think that was hard. I remember trying at your place on your computer, and I had a hard time with the rhythm like that. And I feel, I'm not such a rhythmic person maybe, but it was...
Me neither.
So it was hard to get those exact beats, you know, to make the damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to try, I haven't tried it yet, but this, what's this called? Hi-Fi Rush or something like that on the Xbox. It's also supposed to be this like rhythmic action adventure game. It's supposed to be really good, but that also has this rhythmic way of defeating enemies, for example. I really want to try that one because it's supposed to be really good. But yeah, it's, I don't know if you, when you get older as a gamer, same with, you know, these quick time events in game that you also have a certain...
Oh yes, true. Yeah.
I just find it harder and harder. I don't know if I'm getting older, but I feel it's harder to, you know, press at the right time at the right moment like that. So maybe that's also a way for, it feels harder when it is a rhythmic game like that.
Yeah, maybe. And also, have you tried those, I don't really know if you should call them Zelda games, but I do believe that on the Switch you have these Zelda blah 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 of the Decadence, Crypt of the Decadence, something like that.
No.
It feels like it's a pixelated Zelda game, but it's music emphasized, and I believe that you got this square grid all over the screen. And you have your character, and everything happens on a beat according to music, and you're supposed to kill everything according to the music tempo. I believe it's more pop music emphasized, or something like that. So it doesn't really speak to me, but it's kind of interesting.
You should have a different version for different genres, like heavy metal version and stuff like that.
Truly.
But that, I mean, that's also a good example. I think, like you said, Ocarina of Time. Just to have that title, Ocarina of Time, you have an ocarina in the game, and you play different songs. You learn to play it, like incorporating music into the gameplay like that. And you can also learn, like, to play it. You can pitch it differently if you turn like the joystick and stuff like that. And I remember learning to play like the Simpson theme from the Simpsons show on that, because I found it online how you could play it on the ocarina like that. It's so cool. Like,
that is amazing.
You can really use it like a real instrument, like, and you just in the game you just carry it around the whole game. Like you can just stop and play music on it.
That is amazing.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And then and then of course you have these like Guitar Hero, Rock Band games and stuff like that. So that's also a completely different. But that's a different thing, I think. For that, you play more like these famous songs. And
already
stuff like
pre-existing
that.
songs.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a different thing. I think they're pretty fun, but that's a different thing, you know, in itself. But I love the way Zelda did it with Ocarina of Time. That's so brilliant. Like, just play anything you want, basically, if you know how to play. And I think also one game, The Last of Us, Part 2. You have this guitar section that you can play guitar music. And I've seen so many players online playing different kinds of songs, you know, Metallica or all types of songs, but just playing through the game and all the accords and stuff like that. It's super cool that you can perform whatever song you want, basically. If you know to play the instrument, you can do it like in the game as well. It's super cool.
That is so amazing what people find out through games. So, like, you know,
Yeah.
there's this game, and it's all a little bit horror and all that, but there's this instrument that you can grab onto, and if you just sit there and just press a couple of buttons, you can actually play a song that already exists and that is really popular, and it's just so amazing. Like, that people would actually take time and invest on how to actually play this song with a controller that's not really meant for music.
Yeah, no, but it's super impressive, really. Like,
Yeah.
And I think now they're speaking of Last of Us Part 2. I think they're because they're releasing it now this month. Actually, it's January. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so they will have a remake, and I think they will have like a guitar section, basically, like sort of a mini game. You can just start it and play just the guitar if you want to, like that. So
Wow.
because it became so popular with fans and music players, you know. So it's so no, it's super cool. I mean, like we said, we have these old style games from before, but today you can actually have real instrument. You can be the musician in a game yourself as a player, basically, and I think that's super cool.
That is great.
So yeah.
Well, this has been super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Music in game is always interesting to discuss. I think. The evolving of the music and stuff like that. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, truly.
So are you looking forward to specific games this year now?
Well, there is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, part of the remake, and of course, you know, we have to wait until next year to get the third part, but at least the second part is going to be long, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Other than that, I'm hoping for the follow-up to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, true.
But when it comes to games themselves, I'm really not that sure because, you know, I got a heavy backlog consisting of hundreds of games.
So many games, so little time. Yeah. No, but I completely agree. Like this last year, 2023, was insane with the games. So many. I've never bought so many video games in my life. Like last year, like it started with this Dead Space remake. Like it was incredible. And after that, you had Resident Evil 4 remake. That was also a masterpiece.
It was.
And after that, you have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, also this masterpiece, you know. And also, speaking of music and gameplay, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. It was really, really good as well. Loved it, and I loved the music for it. And coming autumn, I'm a big fan of the RoboCop movies, and we got a RoboCop video game. And it was really good. They had the same actor, Peter Willer, who plays the character in the 80s movie, making the voice for RoboCop.
That guy. Yeah.
And they actually have the music from the movie in the game as well, feeling like this RoboCop just mowing down enemies like this in bloody mess, you know, like a true 80s movie like that. Super fun, very nice game if you're into the movies. It's super cool. And then as we say, Alan Wake 2, Mario Wonder was really good soundtrack actually for Mario Wonder as well. I don't know, so many new games to play, and Baldur's Gate, and as you say, Hogwarts, and But next year, also looking forward to Final Fantasy, this Rebirth version, and but other than that, I'm hoping for a new Switch, because I want a new Switch with more power, with more like in line with more modern graphics. Today Switch, the original, has had a long run, and I think it's still impressive what they can do on the Switch, but at the same time I'm thinking like imagine what you can do when you have like real power in the system as well, you know, real graphic engines and stuff like that, and having more modern games portable as well would be very cool. And to compete a bit with Steam Deck and stuff like that, that's more common also. So now we'll see if we have any favorites this year, but I think it's a good start, I think, with Final Fantasy Rebirth version.
Oh yes,
I think so.
It's gonna be massive.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and we will list our favorite songs and our worst songs in the comments below, so you can find all the tracks, because once again, copyright reasons and such. So we will list them so you can find them in the description. But it's super fun topic to talk about game music, I think. Yeah. So stay tuned for next episode. We'll see what we will talk about then. But
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, we have some ideas for this year, but we'll see what happens. So until then, take care and have good gaming, basically.
Have a good gaming 2024.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.